Hi everyone, welcome to another Greenleaf Terrain build and talk. I think this is probably number 5 in this series. I just stained the centerpiece, so I'm waiting for it to dry, and I have a few things I can build with my balsa wood. I showed in that video that I have this tower, and it needs a trapdoor to make this door make sense. So I'm just going to make it small to not obscure a lot of stuff. This is, I'm pretty sure, a 1/16 inch balsa wood. It's the smallest grade, I'm pretty sure. So I have this grid on my green cutting board here. I actually really like to use it. If you're good at staying true with your cutting tool, I like to use a sharp X-Acto knife, then you have not much problem cutting out some pretty square stuff. You don't need to stay, unless you're building like, you know, an intense diorama or something. Everything doesn't need to be true, you know? It doesn't need to be the most perfect guy. I think that guy will end up being, I think each one of these squares is about 1 centimeter, so 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters, something like that, just under 1 inch. Can't really see. There, you can see with the opening. So I'm just seeing how big it is. Gonna make it a little bit smaller. So, you can see there, I'm just lining it up a little bit over these lines. And now I can see straight down. So I'll make a guideline. And you don't need to cut right through balsa wood on the first try. Especially, there's the grooves, like the grain, so it's much easier to cut with the grain, but as I was cutting the arrows against the grain, so it's much easier to take your time, take several cuts. But as you see here, I can pretty much force down and make a nice straight cut with the grain. So that's okay as a rectangle. I need to come back here. I use Aleene's tacky glue original. It's actually really good. It's not like white glue, but you can see it's moving quite slowly. It's very tacky. But I've used some other tacky glues, like, I think I've thrown them out by now because I hated them, but Woodland Scenics has a tacky glue or something. It was just, this is tacky glue that dries. That was tacky glue that stayed tacky. I didn't really understand. I couldn't deal with it. I tried to build trees with it, and when I applied my sealing techniques of matte medium, it didn't work. So I'm just cutting out little bits of the excess. You don't really want to throw everything out. I have tons of balsa wood scraps though, so I end up throwing out some little bits. I'm not a hoarder. So I just came in with a little nub, so it's like kind of a handle. I have little bits of chain somewhere, and I can take some of it, I think. So I have this link of chain I got from, I don't know, holding on to all the pieces, keeping it in my hands, not trying to cut myself, and I used my clippers, so I clipped the one part off. So now I just got a little ring. I'll hold it with the clippers. There you can see that little black ring. It's kind of a weird shape. So I'll move the clippers up. Try to hold it all so it doesn't go everywhere. You should use safety glasses, but I just turn my head if things go flying. If you're doing it with other people in the room, you definitely want to not do that. These chains are actually twisted a little bit, so I'm just going to use my clippers, and if I can get it right, I can bend it all back, but it's proving harder than I thought. Anyways, so I'm going to take that and I'm going to jam it in here. Yes, a technical term is jam. And then you can see it's sitting up. Grab over here my Zap-A-Gap. There's no gap, but this is really good super glue. Take it, put a little dab of super glue in there. Just blowing it around for it dries faster and spreads out a little bit more. Running out of battery. So we're just going to finish this trapdoor pretty much. I want it to look like wood planks, so I'm going to groove those in with a pencil. It's not sharp enough, so handy dandy little sharpener that I borrowed from someone in high school, and I kept borrowing it from the guy, I kept borrowing it, and eventually he was like, here, have it. And it's awesome. So that was high school, and high school was like, oh, almost 8 years ago. So, I've had this thing for 8 years, so that guy was awesome. Have it. He probably wouldn't have had it for 8 years. So, oh, I keep breaking it. I'm really trying to get a good groove in there. Oh, our lead broke. This is not working out for me right now. Usually this works a little bit faster. Ah, our lead broke again. Yes, and I understand I could probably use another tool, which if this lead breaks one more time I'm going to. Yeah, the lead broke again. Screw that tool. I got sculpting tools, the needle end. So I'll take the needle end, run it down, make a groove. It's got super glue on it now. That's why it's hard to go. Past the super glue, make a groove there, turn around, make a groove there. Since this thing is like a pin, if you didn't have this tool, you could use like a push pin or something. I'm going to come in and push pin in little dots that will look, they're really fine, but they will look like nail holes. So, our last step. So I'm going to take this thicker balsa wood. I think it's 1/8. Grab my X-Acto, and I'm just going to cut off a thin little strip here. Right around the top. Cut it back. My balsa wood to the side, and I'm going to cut it in half. come to the back of this guy. I'm gonna put in 2 little dots of my Allen's tacky glue, and I'll put them this way, kind of just off the edge. One's bigger than the other. I'm gonna cut this one down. Don't need to be precise, but when they look obscure, way too big than the other. So I'm just gonna put them on there. I'm gonna hold this guy flat, press them together with my fingers, the 2 boards, and then those guys, push that guy to the side a bit. Those guys, when I paint them up silver, will be my hinges. So here's my little trapdoor. So since my battery's dying and I need to go to the laundry mat and change my laundry, I'm gonna plug this battery in, and then I'll come back and film putting the exterior walls on these guys. So these guys can turn into this guy. Just layers of balsa wood, more layers of balsa wood, balsa wood, balsa wood, balsa wood, but I'll show you. And it's kind of a little bit of a time-consuming process. Oh, I picked up my guy there. Because I need to do, for instance, I need to do the bottom. I overhang it a bit. Well, probably not on this side, but I'll overhang it on the broken side. This one's probably okay. But this one, you know, needs to be overhanged on the broken side. And then it's hard to just break them. I like to let it dry, come in, break them off, for I know what it's going to look like. Come in and layer the next side, layer this whole outside, layer the whole inside. Then I like break the outside. You know, it's every layer. I have to stop, wait, and break it. But I'll put it all into one video. And then I come in, put little bits of balsa wood all in here to cover up this foam. There's a roof that will be coming here, so there'll be balsa wood on the interior. I cut out little bits of cardstock. We'll put that cardstock on there. And window trim, little bits of balsa wood, just exterior details to make it look a little bit cooler. And that's about it for this guy. And then we can paint it. And then it can be put onto the foundation. This is just the top portion. And this guy's the windmill. I was going to just make a box, nice, but I realized everything else was so ruined. I needed to make it ruined a bit, so you will be able to see the interior workings of the windmill, but probably not be able to put miniatures in here. I'm going to have like a big circle or something, and the one guy, one piece of dowel coming up. I have the windmill. It's broken. So the windmill sticks in that hole like so, and then I can put it, I'll probably put it about 1.5 inches or so out, and it just can meet the bottom. I'm not going to make it so people can spin it. I was going to try to get it motorized, but I couldn't find a motor around here, and I want to get this project done, so I think it'll just look cool enough with this big windmill. Anyways, I'm going to fix it somehow. Whatever, I know how I'll fix it, but somehow is what I mean by what position. And I went to a neighbor's house last night looking for tea. I found no tea, but he had iced tea. So I took my cloths and I dyed them with my iced tea, so they're a little bit tan colored. And then once they are all applied. So this guy's go here. I cut them bigger for they can be wrinkled and stuff and things like that. So once they're all done, I'm going to come in with weathering powders, make them look more weathered. I'll put dots where they look like they're actually like nailed into there. I'm going to burn some of the edges. That's fine details though. But this thing's going to look good. So that's this video. I gotta get going. My battery's dying, blinking its mind away. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and more build and talk videos to come tonight and in the next few days. Thanks for watching.